Welcome to the Genius Talk podcast. I'm your host Atul Raj from the bestemailmarketer.com, and today we have Bart Merrell with us. Bart, thank you so much for joining and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so for our listeners who don't know you yet, can you tell them who you are and what do you do?
So my name is Bart Merrell. I've been an entrepreneur all my life. I started my first business when I was 15. We'll get into that a little bit, but I have never done the real job thing, and I identify the things that I already know and do that I can turn into a stream of income. And so what I do now is I help people do the same. I teach them to think like I do. Anything that crosses my path, good, bad, or ugly, I always ask the question, can I monetize it? And I don't monetize everything, but I always ask the question. And so that's what I do.
Okay, so how can someone identify their ideal side hustle?
So a lot of people who claim to help people start a side hustle is they want them to come and sell their stuff, whether it's come and join their network marketing company or come and market. If I were to try and hook you up, okay, you can come and sell my stuff and I'll give you a commission. That's not what I do. What I do is I help people identify the different things in their life experiences that they could get compensated for if they help people go through whatever it is or do whatever it is. A quick example, my first one was at 15. So I love listening to music. I still love listening to music. And as a kid, I bought my first stereo at age 11. And little did I know, I just purchased a liability because every time I would go into town, I'd have to buy the new tune. And for an 11-year-old kid, that was pretty expensive. When I got my driver's license at age 15, I decided to start a mobile disco business where I would play music for dances and stuff. But in my small town in southern New Mexico, there was nobody hiring 15-year-old teenagers or DJs. And so I had to create my own opportunity. So after a basketball game at school or a football game at school, I would rent the community center. I hired an off-duty cop for security. Mom and dad took money at the door. I spun records. Everybody danced and had a great time. And as a kid, I made $400, $500, $600 a night doing something that I loved. And so I help people dive into their past experiences, and we talk about, what do you like to do? What do you need to do? What are you already doing? And we make lists of all those. And then we refine the list till a couple of gold nuggets pop up to the top that are gives them an idea of something they should possibly start as a side business. And so it's just a matter of helping them see the things that they can't see because it's too close.
Okay, so how can someone in crisis start monetizing their mindset?
So it's all about recognizing the opportunities that are all around you. So for me, it comes naturally. If you didn't grow up with my dad or someone like my dad, you don't think like I do. And so that's why I said, if you're working with me, even if you're not, you need to go and create a list of what do you like to do. And don't think about whether you can turn it into a stream of income or not yet. Make a list of the things you like to do. Then you make a list of the things that you need to do. And this is one that's often overlooked because it's often stuff we don't want to do, but we need to do it. And then look at the things that you're already doing. And then you're going to refine that list by asking questions. Okay, what do I like to do the most? And what can I turn into a stream of income the fastest? And that's where you have to kind of do your research and figure out what resources you're going to need. And so let me give you an example of each. So I already talked about loving music and how I turned that into a stream of income. So now let's cover some things you need to do. So for me in 2024, this was a big one. I found out in late 2023, around October 2023, that I was going to have my lower left leg amputated. After the shock and awe was over, after I calmed down a little bit. I told myself, okay, I don't like this, but I have to do it. It's something that has to be done because I can't function with my current foot. But how do I monetize it? And so even before I had my leg chopped off, I was already thinking about monetizing this situation. 6 months post-op, I contracted with my prosthetist, the guy that makes my leg, my prosthetic leg, and I contracted with him to help people go through what it is I had to go through. Because getting your leg chopped off is pretty scary. I mean, I've done some pretty scary things in my life. This was the most terrifying thing I've ever done because I walked through the hospital doors that morning knowing that I was not going to be walking out, that my leg was going to be gone. And then afterwards, the care and the things you have to do to keep your leg that's left good and to keep the equipment that you put on your prosthetic leg good. That is something that I needed to learn. And since I was learning it anyway, why not teach other people how to do it properly? And so I monetized getting my leg cut off. Now, we don't want to tell your listeners to go chop off body parts to get a side hustle. But when life happens and bad things happen, think about those as something that you might need to do to monetize. Now let's step to the third question, things that you're already doing. So a few years ago, I hopped in an Uber and I was talking to my driver, Megan. I said, Megan, how is Uber treating you? And she says, oh, I just do this to and from work. So she worked at a hospital as a nurse that was about an hour away from where she lived. And she would do Uber to and from work and make an extra $60, $70 a day. But also she would be able to use the passenger lane if she had a passenger, which would get her to her work quicker. And so something she was already doing anyway, she just figured out a way to monetize it. And so a lot of people, I would say most people don't think like that. They don't think about the things that's already in their life that they can monetize. And so that's what you have to do. You have to start being aware of the opportunities that are all around you.
Okay, so what did the Japan bungee jumping teach you about risk?
So going to Japan, and I'm a bungee jump master over there, and this is another thing I monetize because I'm an adrenaline junkie. I love doing stuff that is crazy. And so when the opportunity came to go to Japan, I said yes. And I'm over in Japan, and on a busy day, we did 783 people in one day, pushed them off the top of an 8-story tower. But on the slow days, sometimes I would be stuck up at the top with just me and my brilliant mind, and my mind would start to think. And so for people who are watching, this is brilliant moving forward, and this is crazy. And on my bungee tower, there at the bottom of it, there was a stunt person airbag. So in theory, one could jump from the top 8 stories up without a bungee cord on and hit the airbag and be okay. And so I'm sitting up at the top of this bungee tower on a slow day, and my brilliant mind starts to think, okay, can you do that? And I walked over to the edge and I looked down. I just said, no, I ain't that crazy. But I still continue to think, okay, I could jump with the cord attached. I could wait for the bouncing to stop, unhook, and then I'm only falling from about 6 stories high instead of 8. Now that's something I thought I could do. And so I jumped, I waited for the bouncing to stop, and I tried to unhook the cord, and I couldn't do it. And so the guy, my buddy, let me down to the bottom. I went back up top, and whenever we connect the bungee cord to one of our clients, we use this about a foot long, 1-inch strap, nylon strap with a carabiner on the end. I could take that, wrap it around, hook it to itself, and I have a loop. I could get 2 of those and hook them to the bottom of the bungee cord. What do I have? I have handles. I could jump just hanging on to the bungee cord with my hands, then wait for the bouncing to stop. Then all I would have to do is let go and then I could fall. Now that is brilliance, right?
Yeah.
And so I did it. I got my cord, I got my handles in my hand. I walked to the edge and I looked down and I said 3, 2, 1 bungee and I jumped. Now obviously everything was okay because I'm here, I'm alive. But I didn't think things all the way through because I'm literally hanging from a giant rubber band. What's going to happen when I let go? That rubber band, that bungee cord, shot up to the top of the tower with this loud bang. I fell to the bottom and hit the mat with this loud slap, and it echoed throughout the park. And everybody came running to see who just died. And I'm crawling out of the mat and I'm okay. There's nothing to see here. But compare this to business. You know, we can say brilliant or it's crazy. But business and entrepreneurship and side hustling, you got to be a little bit of both. You got to be willing to step out into the unknown, to take that first jump, to take that first step and do things that you don't know what the outcome is going to be. But let me tell you a little bit about, because some people are probably out there going, that's not crazy. That's stupid. It's not brilliant. That's stupid. Okay, you're right. But it wasn't a crazy, uneducated guess. I had bungee jumped 1,000 times or more. I knew the feeling. I knew what it was going to feel like. And so I was 99% sure that I could hang on. And so it wasn't a stupid risk. It was a calculated risk. And as an entrepreneur, as a businessman, as a side hustler, you got to be willing to take those calculated risks or you're not going to win. If you don't risk a little bit, you're not going to win. You got to be willing to take that first leap to get things going.
Okay, so what money beliefs hurt people the most today?
What money beliefs hurt people the most?
Yeah.
So a lot of people, I don't have this issue because I grew up with a dad who was an entrepreneur. I mean, he was a pig farmer, but he had his hands in many different things. He was a businessman on top of what he did. So I think for most people, a lot of people think that making money, making a lot of money is evil. They say money is the root of all evil, and that's not the true saying. The true saying is the love of money is the root of all evil. So having that is going to block you. If you feel that way, it's going to block you and your mind is going to unconsciously keep you back. There's another one that's out there, another phrase. I don't know if you've heard this before, but the jack of all trades, master of none. Have you heard that phrase
Yeah.
before?
Yes.
Do you know the full quotation?
No.
So what to you, what does the jack of all trades, master of none mean? What does that mean to you?
Like doing average in everything and not being best at one.
Okay, exactly. That's what people use it. Now let's listen to the full quotation. Jack of all trades, master of none, though oftentimes better than the master of one. That turns that completely around, doesn't it? And people use that phrase all the time. No, I better not do that. You know what they say? Jack of all trades, master of none. That alone is going to keep you like this. When the full quotation is, hey, you need to diversify. You need to have multiple streams of income. On average, millionaires have 5 to 7 streams of income. And so that's another thing that just helps people block and shut the shutters down. It's an excuse because they're comfortable or they're afraid. They're afraid to step out and get started.
Okay, so for our listeners who want to get some help from you, want to connect with you, where can they go?
So I have a free assessment. It's called the 1K Blind Spot Assessment. In 10 minutes, you'll take a quiz and you will get a readout of what you're good at, and it'll identify the 1 or 2 blind spots that you might need to pay attention to and work on. And you can get that at youridealsidehustle.com.
Okay, Brad, thank you so much for joining us and thank you so much for spending some time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I hope people listen and get something out of this conversation.
This is Genius Talk Podcast, and I'm your host Atul Raj from the bestemailmarketer.com, of course. So, speaking of email marketing, if you got some questions, challenges, doubt, or just simply need some help with your email marketing, then reach out to me at atul at the rate thebestemailmarketer.com, and I'll be happy to help.